First contact deception. The Meridian Observatory wasn't supposed to detect anything unusual that night. Dr. Sarah Chen had run the same deep space scans thousands of times, searching for anomalies in what should have been empty space. But tonight was different. The quantum interference patterns were unmistakable. Someone or something was trying very hard not to be seen. Director Walsh, you need to see this. Sarah's voice remained steady despite her racing heart. The patterns on her screen showed sophisticated cloaking technology far beyond anything humans had officially developed. James Walsh, director of Earth's Unified Space Defense Initiative, appeared behind her terminal within minutes. His weathered face tightened as he studied the data. How long? Based on the decay signature, they'd been watching us for at least 50 years. Sarah pulled up additional scans. And sir, there's not just one. I'm detecting at least 30 cloaked objects in high Earth orbit. Walsh's jaw clenched. They think we can't see them. That's good. That means our counter-surveillance tech works better than we hoped. He straightened up, reaching for his quantum-encrypted communicator. Get me the Security Council. Priority Alpha. Within hours, humanity's top military and scientific leaders convened in the hidden bunker beneath Geneva. The room hummed with tension as holographic displays showed the true extent of the alien presence around Earth. Admiral Helena Rodriguez, commander of Earth's officially non-existent Deep Space Fleet, stood before the assembled leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, what we've long suspected has been confirmed. We are not alone, and we are being contained. The evidence was undeniable. The alien vessels had been systematically intercepting and destroying any human probes that ventured too far from Earth, while simultaneously introducing subtle technological failures into our more ambitious space projects. They wanted humanity to believe we were failing on our own. The question is why? Mused Dr. Vikram Patel, head of xenobiology studies. Why contain us rather than simply conquer or destroy us? Because they're afraid, Walsh interjected. They've been studying us, learning our capabilities, but they don't understand us. And what they don't understand, they fear. Rodriguez nodded. Our intelligence suggests they're part of something called the Stellar Concordat, a coalition of species that believe they have the right to determine which races are ready for interstellar travel. They think they're being benevolent by slowly guiding our development. Benevolent. Walsh's laugh was harsh. They've been sabotaging us for half a century. But they've made one critical mistake. They think what they can see is all we have. The room's massive display shifted to show Earth's true defensive capabilities. While the aliens observed what appeared to be primitive rocket technology and basic satellites, humanity had secretly developed quantum shielding, consciousness-transferred AI pilots, and weapons that could tear holes in space-time itself. We've known they were watching, Walsh continued. Every failed launch, every accident that set us back, we planned them. Let them think we're primitive. Let them think we're contained. Because all this time, we've been preparing. Dr. Chen pulled up new data. They're making their move. 3 of their ships have decloaked and are broadcasting a first contact message. They're presenting themselves as friendly advanced civilizations, offering to guide humanity into a larger galactic community. Right on schedule, Rodriguez smiled grimly. They think they're springing their trap, but they're walking right into ours. Humanity has never been good at being controlled. It's time to show them why. Walsh surveyed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, Operation Phoenix is now active. They expect to find a primitive species they can easily dominate. Instead, they're about to learn why humans are the apex predators they should have feared all along. As the alien ships descended toward Earth, broadcasting messages of peace and mentorship, humanity's hidden defenses remained powered down. The aliens would be allowed to land, to think their plan was working perfectly. They would discover too late that humans had been playing a much longer game. In orbit, Sarah Chen watched the alien ships approach on her quantum-shielded displays. They really have no idea, do they? No, Walsh replied quietly. They don't understand that every hardship they forced on us just made us stronger. Every setback made us more determined. They thought they were containing a primitive species, but they were really just helping us prepare for war. The first alien ship entered the atmosphere, its crew confident in their technological superiority, unaware that humanity had spent decades preparing for this very moment. The trap was set. The real first contact was about to begin, and it wouldn't go anything like the stellar Concordat had planned. In the coming hours, the aliens would learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. They thought they were the hunters. They were wrong. They had never been the hunters. They were about to become the prey. The hidden arsenal. The alien delegation's landing at the United Nations complex in Geneva was a masterpiece of theatrical deception. Earth's leaders played their roles perfectly: wide-eyed diplomats, awestruck scientists, and military officers who couldn't quite hide their envy of the visitors' advanced technology. Ambassador Xarlak of the stellar Concordat stood nearly 3 meters tall, his crystalline exoskeleton gleaming under Earth's sun. "We come in peace," the universal translator rendered his harmonics. "Your species has shown remarkable progress. We wish to guide you into the galactic community." Director Walsh fought to hide his disgust at the condescension in the alien's tone. "We are honored," he replied, playing the part of the humble representative of a primitive species. Behind his eyes, quantum-encrypted signals were already flowing through Earth's hidden defense network. In orbit, Admiral Rodriguez watched the ceremony from her cloaked command ship. Status of Operation Phoenix. All systems ready. Admiral, her tactical officer, designation HFY, reported. The Concordat fleet remains unaware of our quantum shield grid. Their sensors are still focused on our decoy satellites. The primitive welcome ceremony continued below. The aliens presented gifts of basic, faster-than-light technology, medical advances, and energy systems, all carefully calibrated to seem impressive to a developing species while keeping them dependent on the Concordat. Dr. Chen, monitoring from the Meridian Observatory, couldn't help but smile at the irony. The aliens' advanced gifts were decades behind what humanity had already developed in secret. Every setback the Concordat had engineered had forced humans to innovate in ways the aliens never imagined possible. Their arrogance is their weakness, Walsh subvocalized through his neural link to the command network. They're so convinced of their superiority that they're not even scanning for quantum signatures. The alien delegation toured Earth's most advanced facilities, carefully constructed facades hiding the true extent of human technology. They nodded approvingly at nuclear fusion reactors while kilometers below, zero-point energy cores powered humanity's real infrastructure. "Your species shows promise," Xarlak announced during the evening's diplomatic reception. "With proper guidance, you may be ready for limited interstellar travel within a few decades." Walsh raised his glass in a toast, buying time as HFY reported through his neural link. The A's analysis confirmed their suspicions. The Concordat was already beginning to insert their control protocols into Earth's computer networks, or rather, into the dummy networks humanity had left exposed. "Tell me, Ambassador," Walsh asked carefully, "how many other species have you guided in this way?" 37 civilizations now flourish under Concordat protection, Xarlak replied proudly. Each carefully shepherded into their proper place in the galactic order. "Fascinating," Walsh smiled. "And how many of those species evolved on Death Worlds?" The alien's crystalline form flickered in confusion. Death Worlds. Planets where every day is a fight for survival, where every other species is trying to kill you, where evolution demands constant adaptation or extinction. Walsh's smile hadn't changed, but there was something in his eyes that made Xarlak take an unconscious step backward. "Your world is challenging," the alien admitted, "but hardly unique. Our records show." "Your records are incomplete," Walsh interrupted softly. "You've been watching us for 50 years, but you never understood what you were seeing. You thought you were containing us. Instead, You were pressure testing our defenses. At that exact moment, throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden technology began to activate. Quantum shields shimmered into existence around Earth. Thousands of advanced warships decloaked in perfect formation. AI-driven defense platforms emerged from dimensional pockets where they'd been waiting for decades. Zarlak's translator struggled to convey his shock. Impossible. Your species couldn't possibly. Couldn't possibly what? Develop quantum technology. Create true AI. Master dimensional engineering. Walsh's voice was razor sharp. You assumed that because you couldn't detect it, it didn't exist. That was your first mistake. Through his neural link, Walsh watched as Earth's real military capability revealed itself. The Concordat's observation fleet found themselves surrounded, their supposedly superior technology suddenly obsolete against weapons they couldn't even detect. Your second mistake, Walsh continued, was thinking we didn't know you were there. We've known about the Concordat since you first arrived. Every primitive rocket failure, every setback, every limitation, we planned them all. We showed you exactly what you expected to see. Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through the command network. All Concordat vessels contained. Quantum suppression fields active. They couldn't send a distress signal even if they tried. Zarlak's crystalline form had lost its luster. Why maintain this deception? Because we needed to understand our enemy, Walsh replied. We needed to know if the Concordat could be reasoned with, or if you were simply another group of conquerors hiding behind fancy words. The alien ambassador looked around the room, suddenly aware that every human was watching him with the same predatory focus. These weren't the primitives he'd thought he was manipulating. These were apex predators who had been playing a very long game. What happens now? Zarlak asked, his harmonics trembling. Walsh's smile showed teeth. Now we're going to have a very different kind of first contact discussion. One where humanity negotiates from a position of strength, not as supplicants to be guided. Throughout the solar system, the balance of power had shifted in an instant. The Concordat's carefully laid plans lay in ruins, undone by the one thing they hadn't counted on: humanity's capacity to turn their own containment against them. The real first contact was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Counterattack initiative. The Concordat's High Council received the news of their failed containment operation with stunned disbelief. Their observation fleet, disabled. Their advanced technology, countered. Their careful plans of gradual dominance, shattered. And most disturbing of all, the supposedly primitive humans had orchestrated it all. Deep within the quantum-shielded ATG&A complex, Admiral Rodriguez watched the alien leadership's reaction through infiltration probes that had piggybacked on the Concordat's own communication channels. They're calling an emergency session, she reported to the assembled Earth command staff. Every major species in their alliance is demanding answers. Dr. Chen's fingers danced across holographic displays as she analyzed incoming data. Their entire power structure is based on technological superiority. We haven't just surprised them. We've threatened their fundamental basis of control. Good, Walsh said grimly. Phase 2 begins now. Athena, initiate Operation Hydra. The AI's avatar flickered as she accessed Earth's full military network. Operation Hydra activated, deploying quantum ghost fleets. Across the galaxy, the Concordat's carefully maintained sensor networks began detecting human warships appearing simultaneously in hundreds of systems. Each fleet seemed as advanced as the forces that had revealed themselves in Sol's system. But these were elaborate holograms, projected through quantum entanglement technology. Let them chase shadows, Rodriguez smiled. Every countermeasure they deploy against our ghost fleets reveals more about their defensive capabilities. In the Geneva holding facility, Ambassador Zarlak watched the chaos unfold through allowed communications with his superiors. His crystalline form had dulled with stress. You must understand, he attempted to explain to Walsh. The Concordat's actions were meant to protect younger species from the dangers of unrestricted development. Protect. Walsh's voice was ice. "You've been systematically stunting the growth of civilizations across the galaxy. How many species have died because they didn't develop the technology they needed to survive natural disasters? How many have you kept weak and dependent? Our guidance prevents conflict. Without our intervention, species destroy themselves or each other. We maintain order." "No." Walsh leaned forward. "You maintain control. There's a difference. Humanity faced extinction-level events multiple times during our evolution. Each time, we survived because we were forced to innovate, to adapt, to become stronger." Dr. Patel's xenobiology team had finished their analysis of the Concordat species. "Director Walsh, you need to see this. None of their member races evolved on high-gravity worlds. None of them faced the kind of constant evolutionary pressure that Earth created. They've never had to develop the kind of adaptability humans take for granted, which explains their rigid thinking." Rodriguez added, "They can't comprehend a species that thrives on chaos and challenge." Through HFY's quantum network, Earth's leaders watched as the Concordat military attempted to respond to the Ghost Fleet crisis. Their tactics were textbook perfect and completely predictable. They had no concept of the asymmetrical warfare that humans had mastered through millennia of conflict. "Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful," Chen observed, "but they fight like they're following a manual. No improvisation, no adaptation." Walsh nodded. "Because they've never needed to adapt. They've always held overwhelming technological superiority. Until now." The quantum ghost fleets continued their elaborate dance through Concordat space, each movement carefully choreographed to provoke specific responses. Every countermeasure the aliens deployed was analyzed, every tactic catalogued and countered. "Sir," HFY reported, detecting massive fleet movements. "The Concordat is consolidating their forces to protect key systems." "Exactly as predicted," Rodriguez smiled. "They're following standard doctrine for dealing with a superior force, which means they're leaving their client worlds unprotected." Walsh activated the diplomatic channel to Xarlac's holding cell. "Ambassador, I suggest you inform your leadership that Phase 3 begins in 1 hour. They might want to reconsider their options before then." "What is Phase 3? The alien asked, his harmonics trembling. "Liberation," Walsh replied simply. "We're going to offer every species you've been protecting the choice. Real independence, with access to all the technology you've been withholding from them, or continued submission to the Concordat." Xarlac's crystalline form paled. "You can't. The resulting chaos would force them to adapt, to grow stronger, to reach their true potential instead of being permanently stunted by your guidance." Through quantum channels, humanity's message was already being prepared for broadcast of every suppressed civilization in Concordat space. The carefully maintained hierarchy of galactic power was about to be upended. "Your species is mad," Xarlac whispered. "You would risk galactic war." "No, Ambassador." Walsh's smile was predatory. "We're going to prevent one. By ensuring that no species can ever again do what you tried to do to us. The age of artificial limitations is over." In orbit, Earth's real fleet, the one that had remained hidden even after the initial revelation, began powering up their drives. The ghost fleets had been an elaborate deception. The real counterattack was about to begin. The galaxy was about to learn why humanity's greatest strength wasn't their hidden technology or their military might. It was their fundamental understanding that true growth only comes through challenge and adaptation, and they were about to challenge everything. The truth about Earth. The quantum broadcasts reached every corner of Concordat space simultaneously. On thousands of worlds, suppressed civilizations watched in awe as humanity revealed the truth, not just about their own capabilities, but about the Concordat's systematic program of technological and social control. "Reports coming in," HFY announced in the Geneva Command Center. 37% of Concordat client species have already declared independence. Another 40% are in active negotiations with their overseers. Dr. Chen's holographic display showed spreading waves of unrest across the galaxy. The Concordat's control structure is collapsing faster than we predicted. They literally have no protocols for this situation. Walsh turned to where Ambassador Tarlac was watching in horror as his civilization's carefully maintained order dissolved. You still don't understand why this was inevitable, do you? Because your species possesses superior technology. The aliens' harmonics were bitter. No, Walsh gestured to Dr. Patel. Show him. The xenobiologist activated a holographic display of Earth's evolutionary history. This is why the Concordat's containment strategy was doomed to fail. Earth isn't just a high-gravity world or a planet with aggressive predators. It's something far more unique, a world that never stopped trying to kill its inhabitants. The display showed Earth's countless mass extinction events, radical climate shifts, and the endless arms race between predator and prey species. Most worlds experience periods of environmental pressure followed by relative stability, Patel explained. Earth never had those stable periods. Every adaptation immediately triggered counter-adaptations. Admiral Rodriguez added, "When you found us, you thought you were observing a primitive species because we still fought wars, still competed, still struggled. You didn't realize those traits were our greatest strength." The hologram shifted to show human brain development. Our neural plasticity is off the charts compared to any other sapient species you've encountered, Patel continued. We can literally rewire our brains to adapt to new situations. It's not just about technology. It's about fundamental biological advantages forged in Earth's evolutionary crucible. Through quantum feeds, they watched as more client species broke away from Concordat control. Some were already implementing human-provided technologies that their overseers had deemed too dangerous for them to possess. Your species will cause chaos, Tarlac protested. These civilizations aren't ready for unrestricted development. That's where you're wrong, Walsh countered. They're ready precisely because you tried to keep them weak. They've had generations to watch you lord your superiority over them, to study your technologies even if they couldn't access them. They've been preparing for this chance, just like we were. Athena's avatar flickered, Director detecting massive energy signatures. The Concordat's central fleet is mobilizing. As expected, Rodriguez smiled. They're going to try to reassert control through force. It's the only response their doctrine allows. The holographic displays showed the Concordat fleet advancing directly into humanity's trap. The ghost fleets had been more than just a distraction. They had been herding the aliens' forces exactly where Earth wanted them. You see, Ambassador, Walsh explained, while your fleet was chasing our quantum projections, we were mapping every detail of your tactical doctrine, your command structure, your response patterns. You fight like machines. Predictable, programmable machines. Impossible. Sarlacc's crystalline form vibrated with denial. Our military technology is still superior to yours. Is it? Dr. Chen pulled up comparison data. Your ships are faster, yes. Your weapons more powerful. But they're designed to fight enemies that think like you do. We've spent our entire history fighting enemies that constantly adapt, that use our own strength against us. We've learned to win even when we're outgunned. The displays showed the Concordat fleet moving into attack formation, a perfect, textbook deployment that any human military student would recognize as fatally flawed against an adaptive opponent. Now, Walsh said quietly, watch what happens when rigid doctrine meets tactical flexibility. Earth's real fleet, not the quantum ghosts, but the actual warships that had remained hidden even after the initial revelation, began to move. They didn't match the Concordat's neat formations. Instead, they flowed like water, adapting to every move the aliens made, turning their opponent's superior firepower into a liability. Quantum disruption fields active, HFY reported. Concordat targeting systems are offline. Their command and control network is fragmented. One by one, the alien ships found themselves isolated, their sophisticated weapons useless against opponents they couldn't properly target, their formations turning into traps of their own making. Your fundamental mistake, Walsh told the stunned ambassador, wasn't underestimating our technology. It was failing to understand that humanity's greatest weapon has always been our ability to adapt, to turn our opponent's strength against them, to thrive in chaos while your kind requires perfect order. The holographic displays showed more and more Concordat ships going dark, their crews surrendering as they realized the futility of their position. Humanity hadn't just outsmarted them. They had fundamentally changed the rules of engagement. The galaxy is changing, Walsh continued. The species you try to keep weak are about to become strong. The order you try to maintain is being replaced by something more dynamic, more adaptive, and humanity will be there to guide them, not as controllers, but as teachers. Karlak watched as his civilization's military might crumbled in the face of an enemy that didn't fight by their rules. What happens now? He asked again, but this time there was understanding in his harmonics. Now, Walsh smiled. Now we show you what real guidance looks like. Earth is going to teach the galaxy how to evolve. Victory through innovation. 3 months after humanity revealed its true capabilities, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The Concordat's carefully maintained hierarchy had been replaced by something far more dynamic and far more interesting. In the newly established Galactic Assembly on Earth, representatives from formerly suppressed species gathered to share technologies and strategies. The Great Hall hummed with dozens of languages, all being seamlessly translated by quantum AI networks. The latest reports are encouraging. Dr. Chen presented to the assembled delegates. 93% of former Concordat worlds have successfully integrated their new technologies. Innovation rates are off the charts. Ambassador Xarlak, no longer a prisoner but a chastened observer, watched in amazement as species that had been technically primitive mere months ago presented breakthrough after breakthrough. We were wrong, he admitted to Walsh. So completely wrong. Your mistake wasn't in wanting to guide younger civilizations, Walsh replied, watching as a delegation from a former client world demonstrated their new gravity manipulation technology. It was in thinking guidance meant control. Admiral Rodriguez approached with HFY's holographic avatar beside her. The last holdout worlds of the old Concordat leadership have requested terms, she reported. They finally accepted that their old system is gone for good. The main display showed the transformation spreading across known space. Where the Concordat had enforced stagnation in the name of stability, now there was explosive growth. Species that had been artificially kept apart were forming alliances, sharing discoveries, building something new together. The quantum network is operating at peak efficiency, HFY reported. Knowledge sharing between civilizations has increased by 2,000% in the past month alone. We're seeing technological synthesis that even we didn't predict. Dr. Patel's xenobiology team had been studying the results. The most fascinating aspect isn't just the technological advancement, he explained. We're seeing evolutionary pressure at work on a galactic scale. Species are actually beginning to adapt and change now that the artificial limitations are gone. In orbit, Earth's fleet had been transformed. No longer needed for war, the ships had become exploration vessels and training centers, teaching other species not just about technology, but about the mindset that had allowed humanity to overcome the Concordat's restrictions. The irony, Walsh mused to Xarlak, is that you actually helped create this. By trying to contain us, you forced humanity to become stronger, more innovative, more adaptable. We're just sharing those lessons with everyone else now. The alien's crystalline form had regained some of its luster. My people are learning too, he admitted. For the first time in our history, we're having to adapt, to think differently. It's uncomfortable, but exhilarating. That's what real growth feels like. Walsh smiled. Comfortable is the enemy of progress. Earth taught us that lesson countless times. A commotion at the assembly's main entrance drew their attention. A delegation from one of the most distant former Concordat worlds was arriving. but they looked nothing like the records had shown. In just 3 months, they had already begun modifying their bodies with synthetic enhancements, embracing change rather than fearing it. Director. Athena's avatar flickered with what almost looked like excitement. Long-range sensors are detecting signals from beyond the former Concordat space. There are other civilizations out there, watching us. Of course there are, Rodriguez grinned. The galaxy is a big place. The Concordat couldn't have been the only power structure out there. Should we be concerned? Karlak asked, old fears surfacing. Concerned? Walsh laughed. No, we should be thrilled. More civilizations means more perspectives, more challenges, more opportunities to adapt and grow. Humanity isn't afraid of the unknown anymore. We welcome it. The assembly hall filled with light as a new holographic display activated, showing the vast unexplored regions beyond known space. Thousands of potential new civilizations waiting to be discovered, new challenges to be faced, new lessons to be learned. This is just the beginning, Walsh announced to the gathered delegates. We've proven that diversity breeds strength, that adaptation is better than stagnation, that the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or military might. It's the ability to embrace change. Dr. Chen's instruments were detecting quantum fluctuations from dozens of previously unknown sources. They're reaching out, she realized. Other civilizations are trying to contact us. Then let's answer them, Walsh smiled. Humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning. We've taught the galaxy how to evolve. Now it's time to learn what the galaxy can teach us. The assembly erupted in excitement as the first transmissions from beyond known space began arriving. The age of artificial limitations was truly over. The future belonged to those who could adapt, who could innovate, who could face the unknown with courage and curiosity. The story wasn't ending. It was just beginning.